Welcome to another episode of Inner Peace Better Health. I'm your host, Saima. Have you ever felt stuck in self doubt, fear, or old patterns that seem impossible to break? The truth is, most of us are held back not by external circumstances, but by limiting beliefs we don't even realize we have. Our guest today, Blake Lefkoe, is a facilitator of the Lefkoe Method, a powerful system for eliminating limiting beliefs that hold us back. After struggling with addiction, toxic relationships, and an unfulfilling career, Blake transformed her life and is now on a mission to help others to do the same. If you have ever wondered how to get out of your own way and create lasting change, this episode is for you. So let's dive in to the Breakthrough Blueprint. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
hmm You're mostly welcome. You specialize in helping people eliminate limiting beliefs. Can you explain why they are and why they have such a strong hold on us?
Sure. So we form beliefs in our childhood about everything ourselves, relationships, money, life. And those beliefs become our truth. And that is how our life turns out. That's what we see. That's what shows up for us. We look for and find examples of those beliefs everywhere. And you can't really logic yourself out of a belief. So even if you see evidence to the contrary, a lot of the time it's really hard to break those beliefs because they've been held as the truth for so long. So what I do is go back and help you actually get rid of those beliefs at the source so you create space for your life to show up differently and you see things differently and your life profoundly changes as a result.
That's remarkable. So, can you share a personal belief that you had to eliminate that completely changed your life?
Sure. So the most common belief that almost everybody has, it's pretty much the first belief I work on with people, is I'm not good enough. And for a pattern like procrastination, it's always, everyone has their own individual beliefs but there's a lot of similarities. So if you have beliefs like I'm not good enough, nothing I do is good enough, mistakes and failures are bad, if I make a mistake, I'll be rejected. If, I don't do something perfectly, it means there's something wrong with me. How likely are you going to be to start a project? It's really daunting. And if you can get rid of those beliefs, then the
hmm
pattern changes. So people come to me with patterns, behavioral, emotional patterns. I feel anxiety. I feel fear. I don't go after what I want. I'm always procrastinating. I drink too much. I stay in relationships I shouldn't be in. I achieve all the time. I can't slow down. I do too much. I get angry, whatever it is, right? I mean, and it really could be anything. And then what we do is we look for the beliefs that contribute to that pattern. And as we eliminate those beliefs, the pattern just shifts. So something like negative self-talk. I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, people don't like me. And as those beliefs go away, the pattern just shifts. So I've shifted my life into, not being defensive and not being in relationships that don't serve me and not being stuck in the restaurant industry and not being scared about money and feeling free and safe to be able to live the life that I want to live. I don't get frustrated with my child anymore. I have space for different people and different things to show up. And as I got rid of beliefs that were in my way, I was able to transform my life.
That's Actually, so relatable. It's really wild how our beliefs shape our reality, even we don't realize it.
Yeah,
Now,
it's really incredible, and sometimes people will say, "Oh, I don't have that belief." I know that I'm good enough because I have this amazing job, and I have this amazing partner, and I have this child, or I have this money. But as long as you're spending energy convincing yourself that you don't have a belief, you have it. And when you get rid of it, you no longer need to spend that energy convincing yourself that it's not true because it's just gone. Right? Like if you believe you're pretty, do you have to wake up every morning and look in the mirror and say affirmations? Do you have to leave sticky notes on your refrigerator and your mirrors telling you that you're pretty? You don't. It's redundant, right? It's a waste of energy. So when you really get rid of the beliefs at the source, you no longer have to walk around justifying or logicking yourself in or out of things because they're just not there anymore.
that completely makes sense. Now, the Lefkoe method has helped thousands of people break free from patterns that kept them stuck. Can you walk us through how this process works?
Yeah. So, first you establish the pattern, then you look for the beliefs that contribute to it. Once you find a specific belief, you find the source, right? So most of our beliefs are formed in childhood, right? We're 4, 5, 6 years old, and we want to know why. And as children, we don't have the brain capacity to say, "Oh, I'm not getting attention from my dad because he's an alcoholic and he has his own limiting beliefs and he's stuck in his patterns." We go, "Oh, it's me. I'm not important. There's something wrong with me." Or, we're criticized all the time. And instead of saying, "Wow, my parents have completely unreasonable expectations," we go, "Oh, I guess I'm just not good enough. Nothing I do is good enough." And so you find the source, and then you come up with alternative interpretations, right? So what else could it mean? Could mean you're not good enough if your parents criticize you all the time. What else could it mean? Well, could mean they have unreasonable expectations of me. Doesn't mean I'm not good enough. Could mean in that house I wasn't good enough because nobody was good enough in that house. Could mean my parents thought I wasn't good enough, but they were wrong. Like my parents thought I wasn't good enough, but that doesn't mean anyone else will think that. And my parents weren't God. Just because they think I'm not good enough doesn't mean that I am. They don't get to decide that. Could mean that my parents thought I was good enough, but they didn't have the parenting skills and tools to help me. The only way they knew was to criticize me. And if they thought I wasn't good enough, they wouldn't have bothered criticizing me because I'm not good enough. So why even waste the energy? Right. So you come up with all these other ways to explain those events. And you realize that if there's all these alternative interpretations, then what you said, "I'm not good enough," was one possible interpretation and it wasn't the truth. And the next step, we have you kind of go back and put yourself in those events, right? Remember standing in the kitchen with that report card. Remember seeing the bees on there. Remember your parents' reaction, what they said. And you really make it real, and you don't have to relive trauma, but you just, remember this is what I can see in this event. And through just a little bit of simple coaching, you realize that you never saw "I'm not good enough" in the world. It felt like you did. But all you can see in is an event. You can see your parents' reaction, you can see the report card, you can see the room you were in, what you were wearing, your haircut, your parents, what they were, right? You can see all these tangible things. But you can't see "I'm not good enough." It doesn't exist out there in the world. And you realize that if you can't see it in the world, that for all these years, it's just been in your head. That's where the belief has been, not out there in the world. And then you go back and you imagine giving those events a different meaning. So it's like one of the other alternative interpretations, whichever one really makes the most sense to you. And you realize that as you give those events a different meaning as a child, the feeling totally changes. So just because you felt "I'm not good enough," that doesn't prove the belief is true. We give those same events a different meaning, and the feeling changes. So the meaning is what caused the feeling, not the events. The events didn't have a meaning. And if events don't, they have consequences, right? They don't mean anything. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything about you for sure because those events happen. And if events don't have a meaning, they can't make you feel anything. The feeling was caused by the meaning you gave those events. And if you had given those events a different meaning, you would have had a different feeling. So that's kind of the basic. There's a couple follow-up steps to really clean it up. But typically during that seeing or the meaning step, but some people feel like they have the belief because they saw it in the world. Oh yeah, I can see I'm not good enough. There it is. And some people are like, no, no, I felt it. Right. So when you're able to see that you didn't see it and feel something different, then that belief is broken.
I totally agree with that. So, is there a small exercise or technique that someone listening can try right now to start identifying their own limiting beliefs?
Yeah, see where you're stuck. See what comes up, you know, when you don't get that raise or you get fired or even something small, right? You go into the grocery store and someone doesn't smile at you. What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? Right? Oh, I'm anxious. Okay, well, why are you anxious? Because people don't like me. What does it mean about you if people don't like you? Or, and you just kind of start digging. Sometimes it's very obvious. Sometimes people are like, oh yeah, there's just something wrong with me, or I'm just not good enough, or I'm stupid, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving, or yeah, I'm just not lovable. Sometimes it's really obvious on the surface. And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging, uh, but it's not hard, and that's, the facilitators are really helpful in helping you find and eliminate the beliefs. Something that people can do on their own, which just takes practice, but we give meaning to everything all the time, right? Everything that happens, we give it a meaning, and the meaning is what creates our feelings. So if you can go back and realize that the meaning you're giving something is not there in the world, it's actually in your head. And one of the ways to do that is, again, to come up with these alternative interpretations. So you go into the store, you see somebody, they don't say hi to you, and you go, oh, they're mad at me, they don't like me, I did something wrong, and you have a negative feeling accompanying that. Well, what else could it mean that they didn't see me or that they didn't smile at me? Could mean they have a headache. Could mean they're having a bad day. Could mean I was scowling and they thought that I was in a bad mood, so they wanted to give me space. It could mean that they are mad at me for something that I feel like was okay to do and they don't. And that's okay. Just because they're mad at me, it doesn't mean anything about me. Could mean they're fighting with their boyfriend. Could mean anything, right? And if you can come up with all these alternative interpretations, you realize the meaning you gave it, they're mad at me and there's something wrong with me. That's not true. That's just in your head. And when you can really get the meanings not out there in the world, the meaning shifts and then the feeling dissolves. So, in the beginning, start with really small things, right? When you're driving and somebody cuts you off, or, the thing you're laying in bed at night thinking about that you can't go to sleep. Well, what meaning are you giving that thing? What is it that's causing that emotion? And what else could it mean? And see if you can start to realize that the meaning is in your head. It's not in the world. And when you give it a different meaning, you can create a different feeling. So that's something that people can do on their own. And that can be really powerful, especially the more you practice it, the better you get. You can start applying it to bigger things. When you get rid of the beliefs, you don't have to do that because that meaning you're giving things goes away with the belief. You can start giving things a different meaning. And it's totally subconscious. We don't even realize that we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's actually so simple and fascinating at the same time. It makes us wonder that how many of our struggles are just beliefs that, needs to be unlearned.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing, when you eliminate I've had clients eliminate beliefs about money, right? Money doesn't come to me. Money is scarce. Money is hard to get. I have to work really hard
Mhm.
for money. And literally, like that day that they eliminate that belief, they'll send me a text or an email and they're like, "Oh my God, this thing just this money just showed up in my mailbox." Right? Like it just got this check where I was trying to sell my house and nobody wanted it. And someone just, put a bid over asking price. I mean, it's just these stories are constant. This woman said, got rid of the belief, no one's interested in what I have to say. And we hung up the call, we got off of Zoom and her phone rang and someone was like, "I just looked at your website and I've been looking for someone to do what you do and I haven't been able to find somebody." Like you just open up space for these things to happen. It's really incredible. And not only do you open up the space for these kinds of things, if you believe that relationships don't work, that's what you're going to see. That's what's going to show up for you. That's what you're going to manifest. And if you can get rid of that, not only do you create space to manifest a relationship like that, but when there's something in a relationship that's not working, now all of a sudden there's reason to work on it because relationships can work. So now all of a sudden I'm open to working on it, to talking to my partner, to communicating instead of being like, "Yep, see, relationships don't work. That's just how it is, and I'm just gonna live like this because there's nothing better." And we
That's
are able to,
actually what it is.
yeah, and we're able to hold like our perspective changes too, right? We don't get a job, and instead of going, "Oh, it's because
Mm-hmm.
it's good enough," we're like, "Yeah, there must be something better out there for me. This must not have been the fit. This is the universe saving myself because if I got this job, I wouldn't be happy in it, or I wouldn't be available for this other job that's going to be so much better. That's going to pay me so much more." So we just start, you know, when you're looking for examples of I'm not good enough, you're going to find them.
Mhm.
You're not, you're gonna find other things.
The world would be a lot more easier place, if everyone starts thinking this way. It's really
Yeah,
fascinating.
totally.
Now, a lot of people know they need to do, but fear and procrastination stops them. So, how do our beliefs influence these behaviors?
So again, procrastination is nothing I do is good enough, or it's a fear, right? Procrastination stems from fear, and anxiety stems from all kinds of negative beliefs. And really, I think for this work, all you have to do is be ready to change. And you can be scared, and you can be anxious, and you can think all the things in the world. Change is hard, and I'm not special, and nothing works for me. And like those are all beliefs that can be eliminated. And it's not hard, it's not painful, and it's not scary. And if you feel ready to make that change, to stop living in fear and anxiety, to stop letting things distract you, that's really all it takes. And on my website, I offer free consultations, and it's just fill out a form, pick a time, 15, 30 minutes,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Sure.
talk about any doubts you have, any fears you have. How can you help me? Or nothing helps me, nothing works. Why will this? Or this is my pattern. This is what I'm stuck. Anything. Any questions you have, any doubts, any fears, any whatever, and we can address it. And as long as you're willing to change and you're ready to change, that's really all it takes.
I would surely love to go through your website.
Yeah, so my website is just my name, so it's www.blakelefkoe,
Hmm.
BLAKELEF as in Frank, KOE, blakelefkoe.com. And it explains a little bit more about what I do and how it works, the kind of things that, like having one more when you know that you shouldn't, or wanting
Hmm.
the job and being too scared and not going, or not doing something because of the loop of negative self-talk that's always running through your head. feeling like you're not worthy of having things, not going after things. And it's all beliefs. So yeah, and there's a button on the bottom of the screen and the top. You just click that and schedule a free meeting. And if it's not for you, that's totally fine. Can't afford it. I have a sliding scale. I really just want to make
Mhm.
it available to everybody. And unlike therapy, you don't just keep coming, you know? Typically people come 5, sometimes 10 sessions, and they handle what they want to handle, and they're on their way. This work actually creates profound permanent change. And I'm not giving you skills and tools to deal with your triggers. We're nullifying your triggers, and they're not triggers anymore. So you don't need to just keep coming. Do the work that you want to do and get where you want to go, and that's it.
Mhm. That's a really powerful shift. The moment we realize failure is just a thought, we take back control, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you can even, get rid of those fears by eliminating the beliefs that cause them. Most people have the fear
Mhm.
conflict is dangerous, or life is dangerous, or I'm not safe. Life is scary. People are dangerous. And yes, some people are, but that doesn't mean that all people are.
Mhm.
And as you get rid of those beliefs, you're able to exist in a way that just feels safer. Put yourself in situations that are safer, because what we believe is what shows up.
I completely agree with that. Blake, this conversation was really eye opening. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and showing us that change is always possible.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. If anyone wants to reach out, I'm here. Shoot me an email, schedule a meeting.
You're warmly welcome. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
And to all our listeners, if today's episode resonated with you, start questioning your deepest assumptions about yourself. Are they even true? Or are they just beliefs you have picked up along the way? Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and rewrite the story you tell yourself.